Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to talk about the difference between being results oriented and activity oriented, right? And so the title of this video is called Success Comes When You Don't Want It to, right? And I know that's kind of like a weird title, but I'm just going to give you some examples, right? So a long time ago, I was really, really frustrated because I was making 20 grand a year for like 3 years, right? And if you don't know anything, I think 20 grand a year is like less than the poverty level. And this was back in like 2015, 16, 17. And because I was so frustrated, I was like, I need to get rich or some sort of get rich quick scheme. Good thing that crypto wasn't a big thing back then, right? But back in 2016, 17, I was like, I need something. And that's when I started learning about real estate. Because of all the YouTube videos about like it's like a springboard to success, which it is, but it's not like a super easy get rich quick scheme. And one of the things that I learned and did was that you essentially have to fall in love with the process of what it is you're trying to do, the activity versus focused on the result, right? So I don't know if you ever tried dieting, but there's two ways that you could do it. You could just completely not care about what number is on your scale, how many pounds you weigh. Don't weigh yourself every single day because all you got to do is focus on eating healthy. Again, not giving you actual dietary advice, but maybe like making sure that every single item on your grocery cart is organic, or making a green juice or a carrot juice every single day. Things like that, right? You could focus on either the number on the scale or falling in love with making healthy foods. And most people fail at dieting because they're just so focused on that number, right? And if you focus on the activity, right, and not care about the actual result, which is what the number is, it's much easier to live a health conscious life, right? And I speak from experience because when I was poor, making 20 grand a year, ironically, because I had so little money, all I did was just focus on eating healthy. It was like the most disciplined point of my life when it comes to dieting, right? Because I didn't have any money to ever eat out, right? Make sure that when I go to the store, I always get organic carrots. I financed a juicer, right? Because I did the buy now, pay later type of deal. And again, um, being let's say not as having as many resources or not actually having that much money makes you more resourceful. And I kind of talked about this a little bit in other videos. So when people tell me that they don't have a lot of money, I feel like with that not having a lot of money comes a lot more discipline. And sometimes people don't realize that you having a ton of money dumped at you without having the discipline to kind of manage it, which is why like half of six-figure earners are paycheck to paycheck, really comes at a cost. Right? So again, success comes when you don't want it. And so eventually, because I was poor, I was frustrated, but I was disciplined, right? I was disciplined and I was focusing on the activity and learning, even though there were no clear and apparent results. And it took me a long time to learn to fall in love with the process rather than the result, right? And that's kind of like a big thing in self development. Although I haven't heard in a while. Like I first heard those ideas in like the early 2010s, and I think those were like a repeat of the ideas from like the 1980s or 70s or something like that. But again, success comes usually when you don't want it. So, when I was making 20 grand a year for 3 years and at the poverty level, eventually I made six figures. And do you think I wanted the six figures really bad when I was making 20 grand a year? Absolutely. And that's probably why I didn't get it. Like, it sounds weird, right? Like, I didn't get the six figures when I was making 20 grand a year because I wanted it so bad, right? And so once I just kind of focused on the process, eventually I did get six figures. But it never came at a point when I wanted it. And once I got six figures, the thought, I couldn't remember that I got six figures. It's like when I had a rental property, like, oh, I want a rental property for so long because that's how you become successful in real estate investing. And then when I think I'm the only landlord out there, to be honest, who got us 6 months worth of rent the first day the tenant moved in, and she actually like sent me a text message saying thank you so much, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm in my own rental house, because she'd been looking for a year and she had the money, right? And she told me every single rental house out there was crap. That's what she told me. And so, at that time, I was just like, oh my God, before I got the rental house, before I ever, became, quote, a landlord, I was just like, oh yeah, I really want to be a landlord. And then once I became it and I got that rental check, I got to a point, and I haven't had that rental property. I've only had the rental property for about a year now. And I got to a point where I totally forget sometimes I even have a tenant and a rental property, right? Like before I had it, I was like so obsessed with it, and once I got it, I was like, oh, I don't really care, do I? Well, obviously I care to a certain point, but not to the point um, as much as I did before I got it. And it's the same thing with like being six figures. Now I know some of you are like paycheck to paycheck, and you don't make that much money, but I almost like 95% guarantee. I can't 100% guarantee this, but 95% guarantee that if you make, let's say you only make $20,000 a year like I did, and you eventually make six figures, and you fall in love with the process rather than the result, eventually that six figure will mean absolutely nothing to you, because you realize that if you fall in love with the process, eventually that six figures is going to become seven figures, and then eight figures, and so on, right? And you could apply this to a lot of things. Again, um, for me, I know, like, again, I did a Google search on follow up the process, the results will come. This was kind of like a big thing in self development that I remember learning about it like in the early 2010s, and didn't really internalize until even recently, right? And I'm going to just show you how, or talk about how this might apply to me in my future plans, right? About how we need to follow with the process and the results will come, rather than focusing on the metrics. Too many people focus way too much on the metrics. Like I talk about dieting, they're not focused on healthy eating. They want to take some pills and they just see that number go down to like a certain ideal number, even though that number might be meaningless, right? Okay, so when it comes to YouTube, I've seen comments out there kind of like, hey, like this channel is so awesome. Why aren't you at 100,000 subs? And if I were at 100,000 subs, that'd be great. But I know once I get to 100,000 subs, I won't care. It's like when I made six figures, right? And I know what will happen is, in order for me to get to 100,000 subs, I just have to fall in love with uploading more videos, right? If I'm fixated on view count and subs, it's actually going to stunt my growth, because I'm going to be like, well, this video didn't get me, as much views as I want. Right now, I'm like, who cares? I'm just going to keep uploading videos and following with the process of uploading videos. And you know that people will find the content, and this is what they're probably thinking, like, what is Korean Atlanta mentorship? And then they'll click one video and they're like, why is this so good? And why am I subscribing? And why are there so few subs? And again, I know it's going to be like a snowball effect, but if I fall in love with the process of uploading more videos, the views will eventually come, and I don't have to focus on the views and the subs, right? But too many people, especially when they start YouTube channels, and I see this in like Reddit and everywhere, like, how do I get 1,000 subs? I didn't even care about getting 1,000 subs. I didn't even know I would get 1,000 subs this year. I like to celebrate the wins, and so if we get like a thousand, 100 subs, we reach milestones. I like to make videos on that. But to be honest, I don't really care if we have a lot of views and subs, because to be honest, my kind of goal for 2023 was just to only get like 300 subs. And I was like, I'm going to get 1,000 in like a year, or, after like 2 years or something, because this is going to be such a niche channel. And I've already exceeded my expectations. So, you know, we'll see if we ever get to that $10,000 or $100,000 mark. We're going to get to 1,500 soon. But again, I have to fall in love with the process of uploading videos more than I do about, a fixation on a view count and subs. The other thing too is, if I want more people to join this group, I just got to talk to more people, right? Like, I have to fall in love with talking to more people, understanding I'm going to get rejected, rather than fixing like, can I get more people and enroll them into this group? I mean, if I do that, I'm essentially going to get nobody, because people are going to feel that. Like, if you ever try to sell somebody and they ever feel like, hey, like you actually need them to buy from you because the rent or the mortgage is due, that's when they want to least buy from you. That's an unfortunate matter of fact, right? But again, this is what I'm just talking about, where you just fall in love with the process, the results will come, right? I have to learn to fall in love with talking with more people. And to be honest, I don't even care if anybody joins the group. The fact that 2 people did this year, that's fantastic. I thought it was going to take me like more than 1 year just to enroll just one person, just because the name was so oddly specific. And but again, now, no, again, I'm going to fall in love with talking to more people. More people will click the link down below, fill out the form. I'll talk to them, and if they're a good fit for the group, they'll join. All right, so this is Crane Atlanta Mentorship. Hope that this was an insightful video about learning to fall in love with the process and not really caring about the results, because the results will come when you fall in love with the process, right? Don't focus too much on the results. Although you should celebrate your results, you should just keep track of them in the back of your mind, but you shouldn't be obsessed and fixated on the results. Like, don't be too fixated, right? All right, so if you're interested in joining our group, one last thing, go ahead and click the Google form link below, and we'll get on a one-on-one Zoom call, discuss if you're interested in learning about real estate investing and financial literacy. Other than that, have a great day, and we'll speak soon.